You a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from Earth Prime to Earth 616 and everywhere in between. Steve caught me off guard with that cue. I was in the middle of drinking something, had to swallow it real fast. Don't know if you people at home could hear a difference, but there was one. I'm one of your hosts on the Multiverse Report, Mike Gibson. With me as always is Steve Haller. What is up, Steve?
Well, you mentioned two places in the intro that there's no chance in hell we're going to see Ezra Miller after this next movie. So it's been an interesting week, folks. We reported on things last week, and we may have to follow up on them again to open this show.
Yeah, who knows? We're opening with the same story we opened last week's with because it happened again.
Right.
Ezra Miller arrested in Hawaii. Miller became irate after being asked to leave a residence and threw a chair that hit a 26-year-old woman in the head and cut her head open.
Who throws a chair, honestly?
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, Mike, this confused me so much when I opened up the show notes that I thought Mike hadn't done them yet at the start when we went to start the show. And I was like, oh yeah, it happened again.
Nope,
so
they just cannot help themselves, I guess. Getting in trouble in Hawaii left and right, Ezra Miller.
yeah.
So what we reported on last week was not only that they were in trouble in Hawaii, was also that Warner Brothers had an emergency meeting after the trouble they got in Hawaii to pause all Ezra Miller projects as the Flash and the Fantastic Beast, like anything that they were going to be in was paused. That's the rumor anyway that we heard. So if the first altercation, if the first incident was enough for them to pause everything, and again, that hasn't been confirmed, that's just kind of hearsay, but let's just take it for the sake of this conversation, let's pretend that that's the case. If after the first altercation, I guess the first two, because there were two, but
Right.
when they had that emergency meeting.
Two on the same night.
Yeah, same night or within a day.
Right.
Least, like
very,
within a short amount
very
of time.
rapid.
Yeah. If that caused them to pause all future projects, what does this mean? I mean, is it safe to say are they going to fire Ezra Miller as the Flash?
I think this is safe to say that this will be the last DC or Warner project that they work on, at least for the foreseeable future, because your poster child for the next big part of the DC universe has recently been publicly out and arrested numerous times at this point in the months leading up to said giant project that you're banking multiple millions of dollars on, which as of recording, it's still on for the Flash to be released June 23rd. So June 23rd, 2023, per se.
Is there... Sorry, did you need...
Oh, no.
I mean, interrupt you to finish. And it's troubling when you realize that, these altercations both involve them insulting women, whether it be verbally or physically, in this case, physically with a chair. And he was yelling at people in a karaoke bar and lunged at somebody. I guess I don't remember if he lunged at a man or a woman or whatever.
Grabbed the microphone
really
from a woman. Yeah, this was at a karaoke bar. Grabbed a microphone from a woman who was singing and later lunged at a man playing darts.
Okay. So accosting people in general. I think I read a tweet this past week from Queen of Comic Books, Queen of Twitter, Gail Simone, who said something about how I'm paraphrasing, but she said, I don't know how to feel about the Ezra Miller situation, but two things seem to be clear: that they are personally in crisis currently, and they are also hurting people. And both those things are true. And both those things are sad. But as she went on to say, she doesn't know what should be done. I don't know what should be done, but I can't see Warner Brothers wanting to move forward with somebody that is in this situation, or seems to be putting themselves in this situation quite a bit, because I'm pretty sure we referenced last week as well, the video from a couple years ago of them strangling, seemingly starting to choke somebody outside of a bar in Europe, which Warner Brothers was seemingly perfectly happy to just sweep under the rug at the time. I haven't forgotten about that. I can't be the only one that hasn't forgotten about that video. Is it possible? What did you say that the Flash is dated at currently? It's next year. It's summer next year.
June 23rd, 2023.
What is the likelihood that we don't remember this by June? That the general, okay, because you and me, we're talking about it week after week. You and me are going to remember it because we're in it. We're like dug into nerd culture and nerd news, and we're going to read about it again multiple times. Think about the general populace, like our wives or some of our friends that enjoy this stuff but aren't into the nitty-gritty like you and I. Will those people remember that Ezra Miller is a problem by next summer, a year from now?
Right. The Venn diagram of people that would care enough to watch The Flash and also care enough to know what Ezra Miller's been up to are probably... Yes. It's not as overlapping of a circle as you would think. I don't think. I think you're onto something there, that it may just be WB just takes them and kind of throws them under the rug for a bit and is like, you hang out over there and just stay quiet. And if you can stay quiet until this comes out, you still got a job. And if you can't, then you're up the crick. Yeah, I mean, it really never is. People like that are involved in this, like the aura that keep up with the news, that are in people that are in comic book Twitter or film Twitter, things like that. Like, we're not going to forget, but a lot of times, because we are so like razor focused on, it's like anything else in the world, like your social media feed or your news feed that you are in control of, you're in charge of who you're following, who you're getting news reports from. Like, that dictates your reality, right? Whether it's like Fox News brainwashing you, or just reading nothing but comic book news. Like, you think that's like the most important thing in the world. So I think we have to keep in mind that there is a vast majority of people that would be interested in seeing a Flash movie that probably can't even name the main actor, or let alone know anything about them. To be fair, and that's for you, Adam, the number of people that couldn't even name the main character in The Flash, that don't know that it's Barry Allen, or that or cared that there's a difference between Barry Allen and Wally West. It's kind of crazy when you think about the microcosm that we're dealing in compared to the general public. And we'll see where it goes. I mean, that's the question. The question is, does Warner Brothers think that that they can corral Ezra Miller enough in the meantime? I mean, it all banks on their behavior moving forward, really. And you got to know that some representative from Warner Brothers that is assigned to deal with Ezra Miller is talking to them quite a bit. And, but I assuredly probably already, I'm sure that they've already gotten warnings or information from Warner Brothers saying like, hey, you got to chill out. You cannot do this again. And it happened again. So is that enough for Warner Brothers to cut ties, or are they still going to be going like, okay, we'll see if we can just have them lay low for the next year and not make a peep until it's time to, create some kind of like mea culpa tour of apology or whatever, get them into rehab, whatever the plan is. Do they think it's salvageable? That's the question. And it remains to be seen. I feel like, but that's the other thing. What if, say, Warner Brothers plans to get rid of Ezra Miller as the Flash? Do they announce that before the movie comes out? That seems like it's going to kill the movie. If
they say, yeah, go see this movie with this actor who isn't going to be the actor moving forward.
Right.
You know, like then that you're going to lose a lot of people, I feel like.
I think it'll be telling if in the coming months we start hearing about them continuing post-production or reshoots. You hear that reshoot word and things can go a little sideways. So I think no matter what.
Yeah, but also, I mean, every big movie has reshoots.
Oh, 100%. But like if they call in Ezra Miller for reshoots, or if they call in some unknown actor for reshoots, it could be a little bit
I mean,
hairy.
At this point, the trouble behind this movie, we hear reshoots, we're gonna assume the worst. You know, if this hadn't happened, then they call reshoots. I say, yeah, sure. Every big blockbuster has reshoots. It doesn't matter. So
no matter,
I don't know. It's
no matter what, it seems like Warner Brothers should be doing something to maybe help Ezra Miller, because it seems like they need some sort of something after this recent string.
But we talked about last week, like, you can't count on a corporation to help
of course not. But it's
personally.
Like when they're the face of arguably your biggest or close to biggest franchise, it's like maybe like your handle, like you said earlier, your handler should be like, hey, you need to get over there to this clinic and do your thing and figure this out.
Right. Yeah. And you make a good point that I can imagine that they were banking on the Flash becoming a big continual franchise.
I mean, if you look at how it's been billed, it's their Avengers movie. Like, it's going to be the crux of breaking off into the rest of everything.
Yeah, it was very important. I mean, again, this is all hearsay. We don't know what's going on in the Flash, but it really seemed like everything indicates that this was the movie that's going to set up the fate or the track of the DC connected universe moving forward.
Yeah.
I personally feel like I don't need that. I feel like I like all the individual movies, things that are happening. So like, I don't need something to come back and connect it. But also, we reported on the Discovery Warner Brothers takeover merger saying that they did want things to be more aligned. So I just feel like no matter what, it's a rough time to be in charge of the DC and in charge of anything having to do with the Flash movie at Warner Brothers. I feel like there's a lot of panicked, what are we doing, people? What are we doing vibes at Warner Brothers, I guess. People, I'm sure there's other people that work at Warner Brothers that are just sitting in a conference room watching, Flash assigned people go crazy, being like, "Woo, boy, I'm glad I'm on this side of the glass."
Absolutely.
Anyway, there is a poll on our Twitter page right now, Multiverse RPT on Twitter. Will Warner Brothers replace Ezra Miller as the Flash? So you can go check that out on our Twitter page. Vote yes or no. Yes, absolutely, or no, this will blow over are the two choices. And it really comes down to that. Will we remember that Ezra Miller caused some trouble a year from now when the Flash comes out, or when they start promoting it? Because that's the other thing. Like, if they're going to want them to promote the movie that they are starring in, then they're going to have to do some kind of media, or they're going to have to start the gears of apologies and rehabs and please understand this is what was happening at the time in my life. Like that, those gears have to start turning way sooner than when Ezra Miller goes on the Tonight Show to promote the Flash or whatever,
before that promo tour starts, it better be already all dressed up and cleaned up.
Exactly. So go vote on that poll on our Twitter. Let us know what you think. And we will keep monitoring the Ezra Miller drama. Just seems crazy. Clearly, like, I think Gail Simone is right. There's two truths going on. They clearly need some kind of help. I don't know what kind, but some kind. And also their behavior is completely unacceptable. So I don't know. They got two problems to solve.
And we'll see what they do with it.
And we'll see what they do. You know what else is a problem you have to solve? Writing a multiverse movie. Speaking of a multiverse movie, we got one coming out in a couple weeks. Early May 6th. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is coming to theaters. And that movie was written by a guy named Michael Waldron, who was also the head writer of the Loki series for the Disney Plus Loki series. What? I just said the two same. I said the same thing twice in one sentence.
It happens.
Great. I'm a professional. But as you can imagine, it's tough to write a multiverse movie for a number of reasons. And I thought this was just an interesting quote. And, we are getting very close to the release of Doctor Strange. Steve, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Oh, dude, if you asked before or after the Thor Love and Thunder trailer dropped.
Don't give me any spoilers.
I know, that's all I'm going to give you. But I think... the problem is that almost made me want to look past it. I would say 8, probably an 8.
Oh, an 8. All right. For those of you that are not sure what we were just referencing a moment ago, I personally have made the decision to try to not watch any trailers for Thor Love and Thunder, a movie that is coming out this summer.
Yeah, 2 months maybe.
Yeah, 2 months. We just got the first trailer this past week. We're not talking about it on the show because Steve and a couple of his buddies did a separate reaction to the trailer that you can find on your podcast feed or on our YouTube page. So go check that out if you would like to see Steve and 2 other guys talking about the new Thor Love and Thunder trailer. I have not seen it. I can imagine that it will play before Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. So when I see that movie, I feel like I'm just going to have to kind of plug my ears and close my eyes a little bit if I want to maintain. My goal is to just walk into Thor Love and Thunder not having any idea what it really looks like or what's happening or ideas of the plot or anything like that. Obviously, I did see pictures of Natalie Portman as Jane Foster's Thor because that was just all over the internet. It was inescapable. I couldn't deny it, and I mentally prepared for screenshots and things like that to happen. So I'm not like it's ruined my plot. But anyway, so go check that out. And we're talking about a movie that comes out before that, Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. Which I am excited for, but also I've mentioned many times, I am a big fan of street level superhero-ness, or at least earthbound superhero-ness. And when you get too wild, you get too cosmic, you get too multiverse, you kind of lose me a little bit, to be honest with you. So that's why I had a less than outstanding initial reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home. It's a super fun movie and super great popcorn blockbuster. Don't love it. So I am not sure what I'm going to think of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So this quote from Michael Waldron, writer of the movie, actually made me feel a little bit better about it. And he says the following: the danger is that you can expand your scope too wide and you can actually reduce the stakes if you don't make it personal as you go bigger and wider. But the opportunity in the multiverse is to have characters confront literal what ifs and alternate versions of themselves and perhaps others in their lives. It's an interesting way to hold up a mirror to characters. In every way, it shapes the emotional heart of the story. It has to. The multiverse isn't just a MacGuffin where we're like, okay, this is just a kitschy thing that we're playing with in this movie. If you're faced with alternate realities and with alternate versions of yourself, that has to become the emotional heart, exploring who you might be if you were a different version of yourself, if you made other choices, the right choices or the wrong choices. It's complex stuff emotionally. That's exactly why it's so thrilling and so great for a cast as dramatically talented as this one. So for me, hearing that the writer is concerned with stakes mattering, which is something that I feel like gets away from Marvel sometimes when they constantly tease death and then pull back from it, and no character ever really dies except so far Tony Stark.
Okay, spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. Spoilers for one of the highest grossing movies of all time. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen Avengers Endgame,
right, you might want to rethink things.
That is not my fault. Sorry. Tony Stark dies in Avengers Endgame. Just be abundantly clear for you idiots that haven't seen that movie but are listening to a Nerd News podcast. Anyway, you're not idiots. I still love you, but you made a mistake for listening to this. The fact that he's seemingly concentrating on keeping the stakes personal makes me more hopeful for this movie. And they definitely did try to do that with Spider-Man No Way Home. Personally, I don't know if they really landed that. There certainly is some personal stuff that happens to Peter in that movie, but I think for me, the multiverse craziness of it kind of detracts a little bit too much from that. That's just my personal opinion. I know everyone else in the world loves that movie more than anything else. But so I'm still a little reserved about this. But Steve, how does this quote make you feel? Does it change your 8 to a 9? Like, where are you on Multiverse of Madness as far as like multiverse stories in general?
I think it probably keeps me at an 8 just because knowing Waldron was the one in charge of it ahead of time, like before the quote solidifies it as like a high 8.
Yeah.
Like want to see it, and if it was any lower, it probably would have brought it up. But Waldron did very good things with Loki. He's done other very good things in the past, and it seems like it's capable hands. So I think even before just knowing that he was in charge of it, and it's kind of the same thing as Raimi with No Way Home. Like you knew what was or Raimi with this rather. Wow, my brain is toast. I'm thinking Raimi Spider-Man's.
I know.
Yeah.
It is confusing when you're
right.
talking about two movies that deal with the multiverse. One is about Spider-Man, one's directed by Sam Raimi, and they're two different movies.
Right. So and Sam Raimi directed the original movies that the other one was referencing. So
Exactly. Yeah.
So Raimi directing this with Waldron writing it, should I say, seems to like that tag team of established quality seemed to me to be like, all right, they should be able to pull this off, and that Feige and Marvel aren't gonna they're not gonna put the kid gloves back on for these two if they're bringing them in. So it had me from the beginning, and this really does solidify it, like you said. So
yeah. Yeah, I gotta get tickets. I don't have tickets for this yet. I don't know. I haven't made a plan.
you can come to that 9 a.m. with me.
Are you definitely going to that?
I'm definitely doing the well, as of right now, until something stupid comes up with work, I am officially planning on doing that 9 a.m. The what is now known as pulling a Gibson. So
awesome. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. I feel like I'm still in after like 2 years of not going to any movies at all.
Yep.
I feel like my brain, I'm still like relearning like, oh, I can go to the movies anytime I want.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's, you can just go. It's
right.
You can just
it's
go.
a thing.
It's okay.
It is
it's
open.
Okay,
it is available.
Yeah, wear a mask if you want, but whatever, you can go. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're showing movies again. So I feel like literally as I was writing out this rundown and including information about Multiverse Madness, I was like, oh yeah, I can go see that. I should think about that and make a plan. So okay, remains to be seen. I'm sure that I'll make sure that I see it in time for us to talk about it.
Yeah, for me, I need to see this one because I may be traveling for Love and Thunder, so it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out.
Yeah. Another thing, like, I am going into Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness with less expectations because I care about Doctor Strange in general less than I care about somebody like, say, Spider-Man, where
fair.
I'm going into Spider-Man being like, okay, you're one of my favorite heroes, and this movie's supposed to be crazy and multiversey and balance a bunch of stuff. Let's see it. I'm going into Doctor Strange being like, all right, whatever. I like this. I like the first movie. I like Benedict Cumberbatch as his character. So let's see what you got. I'm not going in with my arms crossed like I did for No Way Home.
So. Yeah, I get that. And it's, I mean, you look at the cast that they're bringing in, though, and just of what we know. I mean, we know there's got to be some sort of Illuminati reference just from what we've seen. I don't know if anybody's
sure Michael B. Jordan's going to show up as Black Panther.
If that happens, I will still be absolutely amazed that we pulled that one out.
If that happens, I am sharing that clip everywhere. Everywhere. We called this. No one else. I literally haven't seen anyone else say that besides us.
Yeah,
I haven't
there we
seen
go.
any other nerd podcast or YouTube thing talk about that. So
and when it happens, we'll know.
We will know, and we will plant our flag as the first people that called it out. So anyway, something else going on in the world of Marvel. Talking about Marvel podcasts we haven't talked about in a little bit. There's a new one, Squirrel Girl, the Unbeatable podcast, has now launched anywhere you get podcasts. It's a scripted series that picks up where the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl comic series left off, a very highly acclaimed comic book series. Squirrel Girl Doreen Green being voiced by Milana Vayntrub, who I love, great actress. You may know her from many AT&T commercials. She's also in a movie called Werewolves Within, which I love with all of my little heart. She has voiced the character in a number of animated shows and was this close. For those of you listening, I'm holding my fingers very close together, this close to playing the character of Squirrel Girl in live action in a new Warriors series that a pilot was made for, apparently, and it just didn't move forward, much to the chagrin of all these Squirrel Girl fans out there, including me. This is a 6-episode miniseries, scripted podcast, and I don't know. I haven't. For some reason, it's hard for me to get into the superhero podcasts. I love that they
Yeah.
exist. I've listened to the 2 Wolverine ones. I listen to too many other podcasts. I think that when it comes time to start fitting one other one in, I just feel like I can't do it. I'll just read the comic books instead.
Yeah.
But
I'm a very ebb and flow on the podcast. Like, I have probably a list of 8 or 10 that I'll just kind of go into and out of, and I know like they're always there.
Yeah.
And
if you need them.
Like, I'll just cycle through whatever, and then I can drop stuff off when something like this drops. But yeah, Squirrel Girl is absolute fan favorite for people that have read any of her. I have not. I'm very remiss in my Squirrel Girl knowledge. I do know that she did beat Thanos, so there's that.
Yeah. When you can command an army of squirrels to just crawl over Thanos until he suffocates, then yeah, you did it. Good job, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is a super fun character. Obviously, if you can tell by the name, it's a little bit silly. She's very tongue-in-cheek. She's very comical. I would love to see a live-action version of her at some point. I would love if she was played by Milana Vayntrub. I think she's a great casting for it. And I did read the first couple issues of the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl when that came out, and it was very funny. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Fraction Aja Hawkeye in certain ways, where they would make like meta references in the way that they diagrammed something or pointed something out, or the narration would kind of like make jokes in a certain way.
Right.
I don't know. It was great. And it's a lot of fun. Great for little kids if you're someone that wants, that has a kid that is interested in comics, but you're not going to buy them, Swamp Thing or Sandman or anything like that. Throw some Squirrel. They'll love it. I think the fact that this is also a 6-episode miniseries makes me more inclined to listen to it when I don't have to commit to like 20 episode storyline or something like that. So check it out. It's available right now. Episode 1 already dropped. So there you go. Speaking of comic books and other comic book news, Marvel has announced a new Predator series launching this summer. So this is I'm surprised it took this long, I guess, but this is fallout from years ago when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and they've been putting out an Alien book for 6 or 8 months or something. I read the first issue or 2, and it was pretty good.
Nice.
And now they're doing the same with Predator. Can't blame them. The creative team is Ed Bisson and Kev Walker. The story follows a woman named Theta who is seeking revenge on the predator that killed her entire family. So, personal storyline there. What do you think of the Predator as a franchise? Do you like it? Do you not care?
I'm relatively ambivalent. Enjoyed, the first movie and the campiness of some of the movies beyond that.
Sure.
But, in general, it's like, okay, cool alien. See how he matches up against whatever, and it's never been a ultimate favorite of mine, but it's never been something that I've shied away from.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I introed this story by saying surprisingly that it took this long, but also at the same time, when you think about it, it's not really surprising because I feel like the last Predator movie bombed. I feel like this is a franchise that like there's not a ton of love for, as opposed to even something like Alien, where there's a ton of like diehard Alien fans, and there's a lot of like
Yeah.
I feel like there's untapped like juice in the Alien franchise, and there's a desire to see more of it, and there is promise for the future of the Alien franchise, where like Predator, like I maybe this is just me talking personally, like I'm not super interested in it. I like you said, I like the first one. I like the second one when I was a kid, but I saw part of it more recently, and I was like, this is not as good
Doesn't
as I remember it.
yeah, it doesn't hold
I
up.
I did like they made a movie called Predators, which was like
Really?
produced by Robert Rodriguez. It had a pretty good cast, like Adrian Brody and Topher Grace, and like some good actors were in it. And I remember thinking that was really good, but I only saw it once. I could be wrong. Maybe it is actually bad, but I just liked it. Um, but I feel like Predator has had more misses than hits, and I don't know, maybe this is what the character needs to like get some juice flowing for it, so they can eventually do a Predator series or something on, because they're doing Noah Hawley's doing that Alien series on
Yeah.
Hulu, I think. So I'm really excited for that. Who knows if they end up doing a cool Predator thing? I think there's potential to make it cool, but there's something about the alien, like there's something it's Alien is scarier, one, because it's just like a creature that is just trying to kill you. Like there's no rationale. Predator being like intellectual and
Yeah.
technological and stuff, like kind of takes some of the scariness away from, like, the more you know about anything, the less scary it is, right? So
Yep.
the more you learn about predators, the less scary they are. Um, so I don't know. I think that might be part of the inherent trouble with getting people to care or respond to the franchise. That's just my thing that I haven't thought of until right now, but now I'm planting my flag.
Well, I somehow in my brain just equated, because for years I've always equated the xenomorphs and the Zerg from StarCraft, and like that the Zerg from StarCraft were all based off of that concept of hive mind and whatever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never put two and two together that the Protoss, the other race in StarCraft, is effectively the Predators.
Oh, there you go.
They're like the more technologically advanced, like single like single fighting unit rather than this huge hive mind of everything. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's some
Interesting.
1998 video game knowledge that just randomly popped out of my brain. So glad we could equate
I
that.
I will say, while we're talking about it, it's much maligned and much made fun of, but I will say the first Alien versus Predator movie is a good time.
That's
That is
where
a
I was going
good
with that
time.
campy further movies. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a great movie, but it was a fun watch.
Yeah, it's clearly, one, it's PG-13. Shocking. I did not
Mhm.
realize that. I watched it again within like the last year, and I
Really?
was surprised. I was like, this is gonna be terrible. Because I saw it when it was in theaters, and I was like, this is kind of bad. And I watched it again, I was like, this is great. I like this a lot. And it's clearly written by people that understand and respect both franchises, because they're like really using the mythology of both and intertwining them in ways that make a lot of sense
Yep.
and is a lot of fun. The sequel, dog shit terrible. I will say that. Really, really bad. Don't bother with that. But the first one, very good. I mean, very good, but a lot of fun, like you were saying. That's a better way to put it.
Yep.
This week in comics, we got Action Comics number 1042. Speak of the Devil, Alien number 11, Amazing Spider-Man number 1. It's like a reboot. I saw this on the sheet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this one's gonna be he's on the outs with everyone because, of course, you can't reboot a franchise without a crazy amount of controversy,
Of
and
course.
we're gonna see where it goes from there. So
All right.
nobody likes him, and now everybody's anti-Spidey, and we'll see what happens. Like all of his friends, the Avengers and the X-Men or whatever.
Well, you know what? That's kind of where Spider-Man is the best, when he's the underdog.
Yeah.
That's where I prefer Spider-Man. So
Up
awesome.
against the wall is where Peter Parker tends to respond
Shine.
to things.
Yeah, exactly. And at least now we're past we are releasing 4 Amazing Spider-Man books a month or whatever, like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So now we're just kind of back to normal schedule, which is good. We got Aquaman number 3, Batman Beyond the White Knight number 2, Bloodstained Teeth, #1. No idea what that is, but that is a badass title. So I most likely will pick it up. Cowboy Bebop, #3. Detective Comics, #1059. Fourth Man, #4. Harley Quinn, #14. Justice League, #75. Knights of X, #1. Monstrous, #39. Saga, #58. Star Wars Crimson Reign, #4. Swamp Thing, #12. Thor, #24. And We Don't Kill Spiders, #4. Steve, as I was reading this list, I got upset with myself because I meant to bring over from my comic book shelf to hold up to show anyone watching on Twitch, anyone watching on YouTube, the copy of Suicide Squad #1 that I picked up at a local comic book store this week. Very excited about that. I walked in, they had a table out. It was the first thing that I saw, and I immediately picked it up and said, I am buying this. Because the price was not as outrageous as I would have expected it to be. And I was like, this is a chunk of change, but I'm going to buy this and I'm going to help out this new comic book store, Funky Town Comics in Camillus, New York. If you are local to where Steve and I are and you are looking for a new comic book store, Funky Town Comics. Tons of back issues. Big fan of that. Had like a large amount of back issues. They're still getting up and running with the new stuff, but like lots of vintage, like Silver Age Batman books and stuff that I was just really blown away with, like early Swamp Thing runs that I was like, hey, I could easily have dropped way more money in that store.
Well, and this is after the week before when I had gone in there, I had sent Mike a picture, and immediately he picked out from the random, like, I sent him a couple of shots of the wall, and you want to tell him what was just sitting there?
Yeah, first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. Yeah. Head of the Demon, I think is what it was called. Like, and it was being sold for $600. Right. So that's worth it, but I don't have $600 to drop on a comic book.
But yeah, just random, Batman and Robin, whatever issue that was. That he just sitting there. We're like, all right, there's a collection that this is working behind. And Jesse, one of the owners, is who I talked to. Really nice guy. We're plugging without being sponsored or anything. Like, they seem like they're in it for the right reasons. So I'm happy for them.
I agree. Yeah, he asked me. He's like, "What kind of stuff are you into?" And I was like, "Well, a lot of DC stuff." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I read Marvel most of my life, but so I just assumed that more people bought Marvel, I guess, because that's what I did. But then as soon as I opened this store, you DC people just came out of the woodwork, and there's like a lot of you guys out there." I was like, "Yeah, we're out here, man." Yep. Like, what are you talking about? It's like it's only the, they call them the big two for a reason. It's not the big one.
Right.
And DC, like, hey, man, no DC hate. Come on.
Absolutely.
All right, moving into some one-shots. We got some dates and some delays and some titles and some cancellations, unfortunately. So, Steve, why don't you kick it off with some one-shots?
Sure. Well, I guess we're going to start it right off with some meat. Sony has pushed Across the Spider-Verse, no longer part 1, just Across the Spider-Verse. And yes, there still will be a part 2, but they dropped the part 1 from the first one. Must have been some focus group, something or other. Is being pushed from October 2022 to June 2nd, 2023.
Boo.
Yep.
Big boo. Very
right after we were just singing the praises last week of how excited we were.
So I was so excited to see this movie this fall. Man, I feel like my fourth quarter of 2022 went from so many amazing movies that I'm going to see to just like 2 fun movies, like Black Adam and Shazam got moved up. So Shazam still great.
Oh, Wakanda Forever too.
Oh yeah, Wakanda Forever. And is Avatar 2 still coming out?
Does that exist?
I don't know. We'll see.
I'm gonna look that up while you're doing the second one shot.
Yeah. Well, no, I want to stick on this real quick. Because it's not being called part 1 anymore, that makes me think that they just came up with a better title for the part 2, and that this is going to be Across the Spider-Verse, and the next one's going to be like War of the Spider-Verse or something like that. Revenge of the Spider-Verse, Return to this, something like that. Which is fine. And I don't know why they moved it, but I know they didn't move it because people don't want. I know they're not worried about it because it's going to crush the box office. Same creative team, and people are hungry for this movie.
It will.
So whatever the reason,
it'll outperform the first one because the first one was kind of released with little fanfare, should I say?
Yeah, I agree.
I actually never saw it in theaters. I didn't even know
really?
it was
Oh,
coming
man.
out at the time.
Oh, wow.
And then it was Jeff Watkins down at Cloud City. I was talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, do you know they're releasing Into the Spider-Verse or in whatever date they released it?" And I was like, "That even came out?" Like, I had heard it was in pre-production, and then it was on video for me, and I was like, "All right, I'm going home and buying it."
Oh, man. Yeah. I saw it twice in the theaters. I went to see it with friends, and then I took my wife a couple weeks later. I was like, "You got to see this movie."
Yeah.
It's so good. But anyway, more time to make it better. Fine. Great. Whatever the reason you delayed it, I'm sure it's going to be great when we get to it. So, have you found out anything about Avatar 2?
Supposedly December 16th, which roughly means sometime in 23.
We'll see. I have again, we were talking about being in our own little bubbles earlier. This could be me in my own little bubble. I don't know anyone that's excited for Avatar 2. I personally am not excited for Avatar 2, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. Never count out James Cameron. That dude often is working on projects that people think are going to be terrible, and then they make billions of dollars. So you never know. It's all going to come down to the first trailer, and it better look amazing, and it better blow me away. Otherwise, they've spent a lot of money on something that nobody cares about. So we shall see.
I bought that on Blu-ray when it came out. I didn't see it in the theater. I bought it on Blu-ray because we had just gotten a new TV, and I wanted to see the new hot thing. Yeah. And I literally put the Blu-ray in once, and I've never put it in again.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think the big thing of the first one was just that the 3D. It was like the first 3D that was immersive, kind of, and done really, really well. And it kicked off this wave of 3D movies that have since died. But I don't know that he can do it again. But again, it's James Cameron. Don't count him out. Terminator. I don't know. You never know. Also, James Cameron, the guy that came up with the idea of the Predator having mandible jaw, kind of. Yeah.
Things I didn't know. Today I learned.
Tying it back to some Predator. Tying it back to some more Sony news. Sony also dated the Madame Webb movie. So, the movie that everybody is dying to see. I'm dying to see. I'm dying to learn more about it. We got 2 great actresses in it, confirmed, but really nothing else that we know about it at all. Except that now we know it comes out July 7th, 2023. So a mere month after Spider-Verse is coming out, we're going to get another Spider-Man adjacent movie from Sony, Madame Webb.
So is this the opposite of what they did with the Morbius push to try and distance it from No Way Home and not have the two? Because I think what I've settled on is that they pushed them to make sure that people didn't equate No Way Home and Morbius. And with this, maybe we're pushing Spider-Verse, and we're going to drop this right after it while people are still hot on the Sony actually didn't screw up the Spider-Man thing train.
I mean, I think it's probably very possible that Madame Webb is in Across the Spider-Verse. And therefore...
Could be.
I don't know that it'll be... I mean, let's think about how incredible Into the Spider-Verse was and how it can do anything and how the sequel can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that the lead actress's name that I'm completely blanking on right now...
From Madame Webb?
Yes.
Dakota Johnson?
Dakota Johnson. Yes, sorry. Dakota Johnson. Is it possible that Dakota Johnson voices an animated version of Madame Webb in Across the Spider-Verse and then will debut in her own movie a month later? Maybe she's the post-credit scene.
Could be.
Could be.
Crazier things have happened in Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, that's true. And there's also the possibility that Madame Webb will get delayed 7 times and then be terrible, like Morbius was, apparently.
Also true. And
who knows?
I'm
hoping the best.
Some potential leaks from the plot of Kraven that also does not give me hope. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we should say that while we're talking about Sony stuff, you sent me something that was posted on Marvel's Reddit page. And was that an official thing or not?
I couldn't tell whether it was official or unofficial. I don't think it was, but it was a good rundown of what, in general, we've heard about them possibly putting out over the next couple of years.
It's basically like title logos for Kraven the Hunter, Madame Web, Venom 3, Spider-Woman, Silver Sable, Nightwatch, and the Sinister Six. And those are all movies that have either been announced or rumored. I mean, we're assuming we're going to get a Venom 3. We know that and I'm blanking on names real bad tonight, but director of Booksmart, Olivia Wilde, is directing a Spider movie. Everyone thinks it's Spider-Woman. Who knows? Spike Lee was saying he was developing a Night Watch movie, but that was like 2 years ago. We haven't heard anything about it. They announced a Sinister Six movie when Andrew Garfield was still Spider-Man, so who knows what's going on there. But
and for anyone who doesn't know Night Watch, it's like Marvel Spawn, kind of.
Yeah, sure.
It's
a random character to base a movie on, but I mean, Spike Lee can do whatever the hell he wants. So
right, and that's if again we're back into if Sony wanted to do good things, like maybe they went to this trove and was like, oh, Spike Lee wants to do a Night Watch movie, have a blank canvas, enjoy. But instead we get whatever Morbius was. So
yeah. So anyway, my guess is that that's fan made based on things that have been announced, but it's cool to see all those titles that may or may not happen. Who knows? Anyway, let's keep going with these one shots so we can get to our Moon Knight wrap up before.
Sure. And I think I may actually have at least one shot to add to this.
All right, let's do it.
So Dungeons and Dragons movie that we had talked about prior apparently has an actual name now, actual title. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. After the previous Dungeons and Dragons movies, my aspersions for how good this is going to be are somewhere around Craven. So, yeah, I mean, that may be, how we had the avatar for how many times people have seen things. Maybe we'll use a Craven as a level of hype and how excited you are for something. It's like at least 7 Cravens. This is at least 7 Cravens. But no, it's I mean, Chris Pine's going to be in it. The cast actually looks pretty decent. What they do with said cast, I don't know, and we'll apparently find out on March 3rd, 2023.
My hope is that because nerd culture has exploded even more than the last time they made a Dungeons and Dragons movie, my hope is that this one is being made with people that understand and care about the franchise and the games and the lore and everything that comes along, the mythology, everything that comes along with Dungeons and Dragons. And I hope that it's good. But again, like you said, we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
In other sad news, Netflix has canceled their plans for a Bone animated series. Netflix acquired the rights to Jeff Smith's Bone comic book, which was published between 1994 and 2004, about kind of like ghostly. I've never actually read it, but I know that it's like widely critically acclaimed as one of the greatest comic book series of all time. The Bone Cousins exploring like a mythical realm full of magical creatures and things like that. They acquired the rights in 2019, and there has been zero talk of it since. And Netflix is kind of on fire right now. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but they announced they lost like 200,000 subscribers, and part of that, and that, I know there's been a lot of fallout from Netflix losing some business lately, and I think this article indicated that a lot of that fallout affected their animation division. So a lot of things that were on the docket for their animation studio clearly are not going to happen anymore. And there's a lot of people being fired and a lot of things not going great at Netflix. But just got to hold out till you give me that Sandman series, Netflix. Please, please.
Seriously.
Stay afloat until I get that Sandman.
Please. Yeah, I think...
Or sell it to HBO Max so I get to see it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think Netflix being on fire might be the understatement of the year. Let's, we lost a ton of subscribers. You know what we should do? We should raise our prices. That's a great idea. And crack down on the only reason that anyone ever uses Netflix, because they don't want to find it worthwhile to hold the whole subscription.
Yeah, I saw a critic named Lon Harris that I follow on Twitter, who's very funny, very knowledgeable movie critic, mentioned that Netflix also was cracking down on like password sharing and stuff like that. And he tweeted something to the effect of, Netflix cracking down on password sharing is literally the worst thing that they can possibly be doing for themselves. What they need, Netflix needs to be a service that nobody thinks about. on their monthly bills. They need to be like, oh, Netflix. Yeah, of course I pay for Netflix because everyone has Netflix. Of course I need to pay for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
The second that anyone stops to think about how much they recently watched on Netflix and if it's worth paying for, that's the moment that Netflix is doomed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like Netflix has just they become synonymous with TV in general over the last couple of years. But then they started losing all their IP because everyone else started developing their own streaming services. And I think he's right. I think Lon Harris is right. The second that somebody starts thinking about, like, how much do I really need Netflix, then they're screwed. So Netflix should just be quiet and pray that people hold on for Stranger Things at this point.
Yeah, do the Warner Brothers with Ezra Miller thing and just stay over there.
Yeah,
just do your thing
or
and wait until Stranger Things and people will come back.
they just got to find like a deal with a studio like Sony that doesn't have their own streaming thing and be like, yo, let's partner up, let's merge, Sony's Netflix, make it happen or something like that.
Right.
They got to stay afloat somehow.
Absolutely.
Or they want to stay afloat somehow. So anyway, are you going to add a one shot or are we going right into Moon Knight?
I am going to add a one shot because something that came out right after our prior recording came out, I think Monday morning or Tuesday morning. Apparently, and this is we're going to be in a lull for Star Wars for a while because we have the entire month of May coming up in a week, which there's always major announcements on and around May the 4th. Yeah. There's there's celebration at the end of the month. We have Kenobi coming out. If you want to come back for Star Wars content, the entire month of May may very well be us just talking Star Wars.
True. Can't wait.
As you guys may have noticed, is a thing we can very easily do.
Easily.
However, one thing that piqued my interest was that Hayden Christensen apparently in an interview said that he has watched all of these Star Wars animated shows to prepare for Obi-Wan. That's right. And that got me very giddy.
Good for him. I once read an interview or a report or something that Hayden Christensen said that he would have loved to have voiced the character of Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars, and nobody asked him to.
Yeah,
which was like a dagger in my heart. Like, that would have been amazing if he actually voiced a character. Like, the guy that did it, great, he did a really good job. Of course, he's a very talented voice actor, but like, they must have just assumed that he wouldn't want to do it, so they didn't ask him. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Matt, like you said, Matt Lanter absolutely slayed it as Anakin and Obi-Wan. But yeah, like you didn't ask him, like what,
I know.
And even when he came back in Rebels, Lanter did Vader / Anakin, however, depending on because they actually got James Earl Jones to come back for Rebels too, which was insane. They asked him, why not Hayden?
I know. Like, Liam Neeson's come back as Qui-Gon. So like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh man. I like, after reading that, when I read that Hayden Christensen had watched Clone Wars and Rebels, it just made me think, like, was he watching that? Like, this could have been me. This could have been me. I would have done it this way. I could have done that. I could have done that.
Yeah.
Why did they ask me? Like, was he just like getting mad the whole time? Probably not.
I guess that's the other thing, because there was a telling quote in it that, I mean, we probably could have had this as an actual thing, but
Steve, you gotta tell me these things.
Well, I forgot, man. His quote was, I watched them from start to finish, all 9 movies. So regarding to what he did to prep. Just to get back in that world. It was interesting to watch our films because I hadn't seen them since they came out. Not at all.
Wow.
So it was cool to see and interesting to watch them and enjoy them without all the noise that was around when they came out. And then he also mentioned in another thing that he watched all the animated and basically said that they expanded the characters and furthered the relationships, and that was kind of why he did it, was because they really furthered Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
like, that the Clone Wars single-handedly made me hate the prequels less.
Sure. Yeah. Until I watched them, I realized they're terrible. Sorry for any prequels fans out there. It's been a while since I shit on the prequels, but you know what? Last time I did, we got people that actually commented it and sent us messages. So maybe we should do that more often.
Fair enough.
If we really want to engage with our audience, we should shit on the prequels more often. And guess what?
Yep.
But whatever. Okay. Yeah, no, I can imagine that Dave Filoni was like, "Yo, you need to watch all of these if you want to really understand
Right.
where Anakin,
Where he would be in that time space. And
yeah, if you want to know everything that happened to him, just watch, you know, 11 seasons or however many seasons there are of those two shows together."
well, and especially
But
if
yeah.
they're doing any flashbacks, or because you
Yeah, 'cause
you don't get Hayden to come back just to put the suit on and have the vocoder make him sound like James Earl Jones.
Right, man, I know, and that's the thing that I need to know so much about. Like, are we even gonna see his face in
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi? But also, like, he's also gonna be in Ahsoka.
Right.
So that, like, if he didn't watch him for Kenobi, he needed to watch him for Ahsoka.
Right.
Because he needed to understand that relationship that's vital to him appearing in Ahsoka in whatever way he ends up appearing in the Ahsoka series.
What, you mean him interacting with the character that wasn't even in existence in the movies?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here's what was going on behind all the scenes that you shot in those movies. Here's what was happening on the other side. So yeah, anyway, I'm excited for that, and I'm excited that he's doing his homework. There's so much that I need to know and don't know about Kenobi, but we're going to find out in about a month. So can't wait. All right. We are about to dive into our recap of Moon Knight episode, 4. So if you haven't seen it, goodbye. So long. Steve, tell them what they need to do before they go.
Before you head out, feel free to follow us below if you're watching on Twitch. Feel free to like and subscribe also below on YouTube. Find us on your podcatcher of choice, The Multiverse Report. You can also find us on most of our socials there. If you want to toss us a line, an email, themultiversereport@gmail.com. Literally almost ripped off my personal email out of habit. And other than that, check out themultiversereport.com, and we're around for all your nerdy needs.
You can send Steve a personal email if you want to, though. And yeah, also, I'll remind you, go to our Twitter and vote on that Ezra Miller poll. Will he be replaced as the Flash? Let us know what you think. We'll announce the results next week if we remember that it even happened. But for now, all right, Moon Knight, episode 4. Here we go. A lot of people that I know, I just watched this last night.
Oh, okay.
So it's more fresh.
It's going to be fresher for you than me.
A lot of people that I know that watched it before, like when it came out, told me that it was the best episode of Moon Knight so far. I tend to agree with them. I thought it was great, despite him not having his powers. I also heard another criticism of the show, which I kind of agree with. Moon Knight's barely in this show.
Yeah.
Like, the superhero Moon Knight is barely in it at all. To me, it doesn't matter because I am not super invested as in the character from the books or whatever. So I haven't read it. I'm not like, where's the suit? Where's the suit? Where's the suit? I'm more invested in just Oscar Isaac as an actor, and Mark Spector and Stephen Grant and Layla. But I have heard some people that are like, yo, where is Moon Knight in this show? Which I understand. I guess he's not really there.
I mean, to be fair, in the comics, he gets his power from the moon and at night, and all of this stuff is happening during the day. So there you go. They've done a lot of power set shifting and whatnot based on how he can summon the suit, what he can do, all that. I mean,
all right.
I don't know if we've seen the suit during the day, so I guess that does track.
No, we haven't. It's only been night,
which makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the healing thing isn't a thing. He is not Wolverine.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird. If you compare it to, there's so much they took from the Jeff Lemire Moon Knight run, but also so much that and again, going back to our conversation last week, give Jeff Lemire his money.
I know, come on.
It's not going to happen, but give Jeff Lemire his money. It's finally, this episode sealed the deal for. And I was talking to my buddies that were on the pod earlier in the week. Was talking to them about it. This sealed the deal for, hey, this is squarely in the Lemire run. The whole mental hospital thing. I had that glitch there because I couldn't remember whether we had spoilers or not. So
we made it. We told everyone to leave.
Yep. So yeah, once that hit, it was something clicked of okay, this is squarely the source material, even though they've mentioned it before.
Yeah. Before we really dive into that, though, let's go through kind of the rest of the episode. It's basically like Moon Knight meets Indiana Jones, I feel like, which I liked quite a
100%.
bit. No powers, jumping around in creepy caves or exploring creepy caves and artifacts and things like that. Um, I love the Layla character. I think she's incredible. She's a super badass. I thought that actress was incredible in this episode, dealing with a lot of different like emotions, going back and forth, whether she's talking to Haro or talking to Stephen Grant or Mark Spector, hinting at a little bit of a romance budding between Stephen Grant and Layla, which is
Yeah.
interesting because he is in the same body as Mark Spector and looks like him, but is a different person. So that's a strange thing. I really did love after they kissed, Mark took over the hand enough to punch him in the face, which I thought was really funny.
But was it Mark?
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
something else we'll get back to later.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the character of Layla is great, and you say she's not in the books, but I think she was a great addition to the
Absolutely.
show.
And like you mentioned, that actress is killing it. Like,
yeah, she is killing it.
I can't remember her name, but amazing.
Yeah. The scene where there's some weird monster like attack, like they're split up, and it's a monster.
It's
or
a
whatever,
Heka priest.
Heka priest is like splitting somebody open on the sacrificial altar there, and Layla's stuck behind it. Stephen Grant's trying to stay quiet. That was awesome. Super cool. Find out that, and they've hinted at this, but pretty much found out that Mark was involved in the death of Layla's father. Big bombshell for Layla. And I read that scene where, it's interesting. Stephen has denied Mark the body the entire episode, despite Mark asking for it. And without saying anything, once she starts confronting him about it, he lets it happen. He switches it to Mark. I just thought that was cool. I don't know. There's no conversation. There was no like, I will tell him what you're saying, or it was just like, here he is. Yep. It's almost like Stephen, like, yep, you deal with this, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
exactly.
do it. This is all you. Yeah.
But there was the allusion earlier in the show that Stephen hadn't given the body back to Mark because there was a deal.
Yes. Yeah.
So once things were, tied up, that he would have the body forever, effectively.
Yeah.
And well, that
But
seems to likely not be the case here.
But then Layla brings up a good point. She's like, oh, and he wasn't going to ask me what I thought about that. He wasn't going to ask his wife about what I thought about him disappearing forever.
Right.
Like, okay, what an asshole. Like, she's got a great point, She's kind of becoming my favorite character of the show, if you couldn't tell
100%.
my raving about this. Yeah, and she fights that guy in the edge of that like pit after she almost dies getting across it, and she has to she gets the cool horror movie thing of her being dragged back into the abyss of nothing darkness, and then
I'm not gonna lie, I jump started. I knew it was coming, and I still jump started at that.
Yeah, because it scared you, and then it gave you another one where she kind of crawls out, and then she pulls back again, like they did it twice in a row. That was cool. And then I really liked the conversation, the staging of her talking to Haro, and they're on opposite sides of the pit, and she's comfortable engaging with him because she knows that he can't do anything to her, like reach her in any way. So I thought that was a cool way for him to reveal that information, and for them to have that conversation. I thought that was a cool setting for that. And Alexander the Great, didn't see that coming. Cool. Like when they were like, they're kind of setting it up as being like somebody big, and I was like, well, it's not gonna be King Tut. Like, what? I was trying to, in my brain, I was like, what is a person that would be buried in an Egyptian tomb that is big enough for everyone to know the name of? And I was like, oh, yep, okay, they did it. Good call.
There were two things that were going on in my brain, and it's the Marvel nerd in me, and one was Apocalypse.
I thought that same thing.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, that it was going to be Apocalypse, and they're going to say like Abin Sir Ra
Yeah.
or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Oh God.
It's not Avon Sir. That's
no.
that's the Green Lantern that gives Hal Jordan his power ring. Sorry. I'm mixing universes and
it just
threw me
threw me off just enough that I can't remember it. But
Isn't there
I
like
probably
a
will
Sir in
eventually.
it, though?
Yes,
Isn't
it
there
is.
like an S-U-R?
Naba and Sabanur. There we go. And
And
Sabanur.
Sabanur. Okay. Okay.
That was great audio for anybody who had no idea what we're talking about.
There's like X-Men fans at home screaming like, and Green Lantern fans like, you idiot, Avon Sir is a Green Lantern.
So it was either that or Rama Tut, which was Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, okay.
So since we had already seen Jonathan Majors, I'm like, is this going to be a deep cut or
right?
Because
Yeah,
they could have just said Rama Tut and just had it being Jonathan Majors' face or whatever, and not even put 2 and 2 together. But
that's basically what I felt too. Because when my feeble idiot brain couldn't think of a pharaoh or king that would be well known to everybody that actually existed in real life, I was like, oh, then it's gonna be a fictitious version. And is it gonna be Apocalypse? Is it gonna be whoever else? I was like, oh no, it's Alexander the Great.
Yeah, I totally went straight to like Mephisto area. Like how in WandaVision everyone was like, it's got to be a tie to Mephisto. Mephisto was like, it's got to be, we're going Apocalypse, we're going Rama Tut.
Yeah.
Oh,
nope.
Oh, the guy that makes total sense. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. And then I really liked, it was gross, but I liked that Steven had to reach not just right into his mouth, but like down into his throat kind of to get like the statue out of there. Like that's cool.
I do want to talk about the most disconcerting portion of the early part of it.
I got a text from our friend Chris right now that says, "Are you watching Moon Knight?" He just wants to talk to me about it. Just saying. Just funny. Like I'm talking about a podcast right now, Chris. Who knows? I sure am.
God. Yeah, that's
sorry.
That's practical. Yeah, well, he'll find out soon. The scene where Layla was fighting the Heka priest, and right before they're off she hucks him off the abyss there. That scene where his hand is missing and he's going at her with the nub of his radius, like,
oh yeah,
trying to stab her in the face. I'm like, I did not expect that to be the way that went, and that's oddly effective.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Trying to stab him with his just exposed bone. That was so cool.
That's mildly disgusting and great.
Yeah. All right.
The clicking too.
Yeah.
Like
creepy.
That just this was the first time we really saw what Feige was saying with the horror. It was very like suspenseful and something's happening. Yeah.
And this episode was the first time that I'm watching this show thinking like, oh yeah, they could do a PG-13 Daredevil.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is nowhere near the level of Daredevil in production, in quality, I don't think, and certainly in cinematography or in violence, obviously. But it's very good. And I think if I don't know, like the Batman is PG-13, they could make a Daredevil that's PG-13 and just be as intense, just a little bit less bloody.
Which, another aside, I did finally see.
I know, I was going to say,
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah.
I watched it a second time after it showed up on HBO Max. I was like, yep, still great.
It may have, dare I say, it may have been my favorite Batman movie that I've seen.
Honestly, Steve, I think it might be mine. The only thing that's holding me back from saying that it is my favorite Batman movie is how fucking incredible Heath Ledger is as the Joker in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But there's other things about The Dark Knight that I don't love, but I love pretty much everything about the Batman. So I think it might be my favorite Batman.
Oh,
anyway,
my buddy Mike, who's listening, does have a good point. Lego Batman does exist.
Yeah, no, Lego Batman is also one of my favorite Batman movies. Lego Batman is in my top 3 currently, with the Batman, The Dark Knight, and Lego Batman. Mike, I don't know you. I adore Lego Batman, and I love you for loving Lego Batman. So nice to meet you virtually and share a love of Lego Batman. It's incredible. I've seen that movie so many times. I'll watch it an infinite number more times. I laugh out loud every time. It's the best. Anyway, let's get to that ending. Harrow shoots Mark Spector twice in the chest with a real-ass gun, and he falls backwards, splashing into the water.
Real
And I
ass
can't
gun, he
tell.
says.
I can't tell if for a second he's laying there in the water. It looked like a shallow pool, but then also he was like floating down deep. So I don't know if that was like something that I just didn't see, or if it's metaphorically he's sinking down deep into this like darkness or whatever. But then we wake up, or he doesn't wake up, but the camera flips to a different aspect ratio and a really terrible looking old movie. And I was like, what is going on? That movie is a movie that's on a TV screen in a mental hospital. And here we have, is it Mark or is it Steven? It's Mark.
I think it's Mark. Yeah.
Mark Spector drugged out of his mind in a wheelchair in a mental hospital. Layla is there as a fellow patient in the mental hospital. Harrow is there as the, lead doctor, head doctor, I guess, of the mental institution. And he's seeing all these things that he has seen in the series so far, the cane, other things that, the picture of the Swiss Alps where he was in episode 1.
The goldfish.
And the goldfish. And we're supposed to say like, oh, wait, is all this in his brain? Or is this just some kind of weird hallucination? What is going on? He tries to escape. He frees Stephen Grant, also played by Oscar Isaac. So it's like, two of them superimposed in the same shot. Frees him from a sarcophagus, and they're trying to escape together. They see a third sarcophagus that someone's trying to get out of. That is another hint that there's a third personality, I believe, that isn't fully out yet.
Yep.
And then they encounter a weird hippo person that says hello, and that's the end of the episode.
Right. I guess, I mentioned that the that the Heka priest stabbing Layla was what disconcerted me the most. I may have to take that back, that the last shot of literally the Egyptian god Tauret showing up and just saying hi, that definitely messed with me.
So it's very strange. It was an awesome ending. A total, like, I'm saying out loud, what
Yep.
the hell? What is happening? Which is great. Anything that can make me say, what is happening? Throw a complete curveball like that, I usually love. But then, I guess, what's your take on this, Steve? Is this all in his head? Are we about to see 2 episodes of just him as a normal guy with a twin escaping a mental institution? Or is this the illusion? What's the illusion? What do you think?
I am gonna plead the fifth on this one.
Okay, fine.
Because if they do take things from the Lemire run, I don't want to spoil anyone who's ever seen things and hasn't seen 5 and 6, or hasn't read that. Understood. 4, 5, and 6.
Sure. So, okay, understood.
So what's your take on it, I guess?
I don't know, but I think I am inclined to believe that what we have seen in the first 3 and almost all of 4 episodes is reality, because although in the beginning of this sequence, they really make it seem like this is reality and it's all in his brain, then he's running down a hallway and he's seeing Egyptian sarcophaguses. And he runs into an anthropomorphic hippo at the end of it. And that's not reality. That's insane. So he's got to be in some other realm right now. I feel like it's got to be some kind of fever dream or death dream as he's dying in the water. That's how I feel like it's got to be. And they just did it to give us a cool curveball. I feel like episode 5 will pick up in this delusion. We'll find out who the hippo person is. And that hippo person will somehow help them escape or go back to their life and reality. That's my guess. Maybe they'll be stuck in there for the entirety of episode 5. I don't know. But I'm inclined to believe that the mental institution is the illusion. And again, I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't expect this to happen, so there could be a lot more that I don't expect to happen.
That's true. I mean, we could see all sorts of crazy stuff happening. So, I think I don't think you're too far off. But
I mean, because like they can't tell you that, okay, now this is the reality, but also in this reality there's hippo people that work at this mental hospital. Like, what?
I mean,
what?
There's a giant purple dude that just snapped away half a civilization. Like, is
I guess
an
that's true.
anthropomorphic hippo really that weird? Grimace,
That's true.
Grimace literally just halved the world and the universe.
Yeah. Evil wrinkle chin Grimace.
There's a talking Grimace.
Grimace.
There's a talking tree.
Do you feel like Marvel is going to run into a problem where I feel like in a lot of Marvel movies, something insane happens and everybody involved in the movie goes, oh, I can't believe it. And that can happen on a multiple of different levels.
Mm.
But I feel like at some point, something crazy got to happen. And in reality, people will be like, oh, of course this is happening. I just had a conversation with a raccoon.
Right.
You know?
I believe it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, of course this thing is happening because a purple guy destroyed half of reality
Right.
2 years ago.
I mean, New York City has just got to be like wondering when they're just going to be able to live their lives.
Yeah.
It's like Tornado Alley, but in New York with superheroes.
Right. Yeah.
They know something's getting destroyed. They just don't know when.
Right. Like, hey, spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home in the next, 30 seconds. But like, what happens to Spider-Man in Spider-Man 4 when whatever villain or whatever world-ending or city-destroying thing comes up? Is he going to be shocked, or is he going to be like, well, this isn't as bad as the time I almost destroyed all of reality and 2 doppelgangers of myself helped me fix it? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's fine.
how is Spider-Man going to be nervous or excited, or like, how do the stakes match up to the things that we've already seen these characters do, basically? And
Yeah,
at some point,
absolutely.
the people that are alive in the MCU just be like, it's just Tuesday. Spider-Man's going to take care of it or whatever.
Yep.
Who cares? Yeah.
Sounds right.
Oh no, rubbles. Oh no, this building's crumbling. That happens literally every month. Great. I'll just still going to get on the subway and go to work. Who cares?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Interesting. So, any other thoughts on episode 3 of Moon Knight?
No, I think that's probably a wrap.
I think it's a wrap for me as well. So thanks for watching. Hey everybody, if you didn't hear Steve earlier, you should like and subscribe to us on Twitch, on YouTube, on your podcatcher of choice. You can send us an email, multiversereport.com, multiversereport@gmail.com, I think is what you said. Go answer that poll. Again, I'll remind you about that poll on our Twitter. Will Ezra Miller get replaced as the Flash? A Multiverse RPT on Twitter. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Send us messages. Send us emails. Ask us questions. Request that we talk about things. If you have something that you're dying for us to talk about, if you want our opinion on something, let us know. We'll talk about it. You also just rate and review and tell us how great we are. That'd be great too. But that's all I got. And if Steve doesn't have anything else, then I will say until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.